So I wanted to come on here real quick, try to make this video short and talk about the hardening of hearts. Anyone who has read the Bible, especially the book of Exodus, know what I'm talking about. When Moses was trying to free God's people, he kept saying in reference to Pharaoh, I will harden his heart. I will harden his heart. I will harden his heart. I will make his heart stubborn. And then finally, when the Pharaoh did let the Israelites go from their captivity and bondage, God still went to Moses, and gave him further instructions after they fled or while they were fleeing. And God even said then, and I will harden his heart. So in what was happening was, the reason Pharaoh had let them go, for those of you who don't know, many plagues hit the land of Egypt, and the one plague was death. And this was the start and the genesis of the Passover. And all of the firstborn animals and men or children, firstborn of all the men in the land, died. And in that moment of grief, Pharaoh let them go. But then soon after changed his mind when God says, I will harden his heart. And that's what I wanted to talk about today and ask you a question. How many hearts has God hardened for you? We don't see it that way. We don't. We see it on the opposite end. We see our broken heart, our painful experiences, our trauma. We see God's rejection in manifest through the hardening of other people's hearts. It's hard to see it that way, to think outside of your pain, to realize that this was God's doing. And even in, sometimes we still struggle. I have definitely struggled with God's protection through the rejection of people. I've struggled with it. God has had to move things and people and places out of my life for my good. There are even times where I truly believe in my life right now that God may be hardening someone's heart around me to sharpen me and make me stronger. It is a strong possibility that that is what's happening. If it's not, then this person is choosing to have a hardened heart. But either way, it's going to work for my good. But I wanted us to step outside of our pain, our projection, our suffering, our brokenheartedness, and our situation, and really ask ourselves, is God in this? Is God trying to harden this person's heart, make them stubborn, make them difficult, make them not want to give you favor, if they're being prideful, if they're being petty, if they're being childish, if they're being hurtful, if they're being mean, if they're being immature, if they're being abusive, if they're being toxic? These are all forms of a hardened heart. And there's so many forms. We can just say make stubborn, because that's what the Bible says, to make stubborn. Unyielding. Unyielding and unwilling to change. That's what stubborn means, or the hardening of the heart means in the biblical world. That's what that means. And so, how many people are in your life right now, or maybe you're the person who's hardened your heart? Maybe you need to work on that. But I just want to ask, how many people do you think have a hardened heart towards you? We can all think of someone. Sometimes the hardening of that heart has nothing to do with us. Sometimes that hardening of the heart is testing us. Sometimes the hardening of that heart is to get through to the person whose heart is hardened. Let's say you have an elder that is older and stubborn and unwilling, and yet God has given you the strength, because you'll need the strength to have to deal with this difficult person, this person whose heart is hardened. And it could soften their heart. The grace and the love and the kindness and the gentleness that you're showing to this person, they know it's there, and it could give them an opportunity to soften their heart. It could be a test to make you stronger and get to that person at the same time. There's so many reasons. Sometimes it's not, like I said, it's not about you. It's about that person. And God chose you. Instead of you looking at them like their heart is hardened, God chose them to to do this to me, to afflict me. No, God chose you to deal with it because you have the strength, because you may be what it takes to soften their heart. Two birds with one stone sometimes. Don't realize how strong you are. Sometimes it feels like life is just one hardened heart, and sometimes it is, because that's the world, but it's not God. But if it feels like the whole world is that way, I wonder if just maybe God is in control of that too, to show you that you're looking around but not looking to the hills. So I just wanted to come on here real quick and ask you that question. Who is in control of hardening the hearts around you? Who is in control of your heart being hardened right now? Now, sure, your heart could be hardened from love. That's a story for another time. But could it be hardened because of pain and trauma and not wanting to be hurt? But does it have to be that way, though? Being unyielding is not good. It does not help you. It only hurts you. And your heart could be the heart that's hindering someone else's blessing. Your heart could be the heart that is hardened for your own pride, selfishness, egotism, because of your pain and your trauma. No one taught you how to deal with your feelings. That's very common amongst people, especially Black people. No one taught us to deal with our emotions. We're taught to just bottle them up and keep them inside and be quiet and shut down. Then wonder why when you get into relationships, you're practically a robot, not feeling anything. Hearts become hardened over time with pain and trauma if we choose not to deal with it. You could be the heart that I'm talking about. You might want to look into that. So that's all that I have. I've got nothing left to give right now, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.